I'm going to continue on reading from when I left off with this Holodynamics book for those people that keeping track of this. Sorry for the few days off from it, but I had a few other things going on. Just about finished the book, so hopefully within a few days we'll finish this one, and I'll get into the actual book of Holodynamics. This is The Dance of Life. What I'm finding is none of the books in itself explains the whole picture. It's like you gotta read all 7 of them. So I'll pity anybody who's actually trying to listen to my poor reading skills. But again, I'm trying to do this because this information is so helpful, and a lot of us can't afford books. Mind you, go on to the website, and I believe you can get e-books for like $10. So if there's like 7 books, that's $70. I'd rather the author get paid for the work that he's done. I don't want any credit for anything I'm doing. I just think the man should be reading his own books so the planet could know. Because those at the bottom that have no money are the only ones that are going to make a change. So we kind of need to know it, and the guy should know that we have no money to pay for it. So I'm not his enemy, I'm his biggest supporter. So I'll continue reading with where I left off. Let me just start this. I'm making another audio tape as well if anybody needs that. So it goes on to microtubules. It was Roger Penrose who first suggested that microtubules are quantum in nature. His focus has been on the focus was on the molecules that make up the tubulin walls or covering of the microtubules, called dimmer switches. Consciousness may also be emanating from the potential fields found as regions of disorganized water within the center of each microtubule. What follows is a microscopic view of the mechanisms of consciousness. First, I will explore with you the particle view of the mechanism of consciousness. Then I will point out the quantum dynamics, and finally the holodynamics of consciousness. Each has its own validity, and each approach explains another dimension of consciousness. Let us begin by referring you to an electronic microscope photograph of the microtubes contained within a typical cell. I would gather that this is the diagram. So it looks like there's strings. To examine the role microtubes play in each cell, we can look at, for example, a normal neuron. So those, I guess, look like neurons. Anyway, maybe there's another better picture on the other side. I'll show you pictures as they show up. Microtubules of a cell. Microtubules, similar to those pictured below, make up the fibers of the cells of all living things. These tubes are connected by radial arms called microtubule-associated protein strings, or MAPs, that hold the cytoskeleton in place. I find also that MAPs are able to stabilize the quantum frequency of the holodynes within the microtubules. They hold these frequencies in place and assist in coherence and bodily function. This elaborate network of interconnecting fibers not only acts like the threads within a fabric of cloth, but they also look and function like computer chips, much like one would see in a microscopic photograph of computer chips. This does not mean, however, the microtubules function only like computer chips. They would be linear thinking, and consciousness is much more than linear in nature. Microtubules, as we can see in the picture from Penrose and Hameroff, make up the fabric of living cells. They are like the thread of cloth in your shirt. They run through every part of every cell. Our bodies are made up of microtubules. As Hameroff has demonstrated, when microtubules are put under an anesthetic, all body function stops. all consciousness stops. There is no pain, no neural growth, no brain elasticity, and no sensory input. At the same time, microtubules can be seen reaching out and orchestrating all sorts of body functions, including such basic things as cell mitosis or cell division. The mitosis process replaces the old cells that expires with new ones. So microtubules are responsible for new body growth. They also orchestrate bodily coherence and well-being. These microtubules are the most likely storage place for consciousness and are responsible for short-term and long-term memory, habits, feelings, and what looks like every other aspect of human behavior. So you think that everything is in your head, but no, all of your memory is hidden in each one of your cells, your skin cells, your heart cells. Every cell is like its own individual brain, and it holds memory. Your whole entire body is nothing more than spinning pieces of information. And we say we are a vibration. I believe the vibration is the speed at which this information spins at, because the spinning effect creates its vibration. So it's, if like when you're really, really angry, don't you feel like you're spinning really, really fast? And if you're really calm, then spinning information would be slow. So that's where I could really tell when I was trying to calm myself down from when I was like breaking down, when I found out how friggin' corrupt the whole system was. Trying to heal medical issues, I could really sense each cell. Being hypersensitive now made me more in tune with every single cell in my body, and I could feel that vibration. And believe it or not, it was like warm hot baths. I was taking 6 hot baths a day, and that calms it down. Candles, anything that's suggestive to calm down, change the thought direction. And truthfully, it is a constant analysis of why you're thinking about the things you're thinking about, and changing it or transforming it to a better belief system, because ultimately it always is a story. Your brain is going to tell you a story of how things are, and it's just a story. So you could just change your story into something that you believe in. It's got to be honest. You can't lie to yourself, but come up with a logical story that makes a lot of sense. One particular time that I know was practice for me is I was totally devastated by a breakup when I was like 18. Couldn't eat. I didn't eat for 3 months solid. All I was doing was drinking milk. But I went down to a skeleton state. Lived without eating for 3 months, so I know that's possible, other than I was drinking milk. But I was telling myself all of these stories that didn't feel too good, and then one day I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to tell myself a better story, and I ended up saying, oh, this guy loved me so much, he knew that he wasn't good for me, so that's why he left. And for some odd reason, the story felt better, it was believable, and then I was able to start eating again. My whole life went back into place just by shifting the story that I was telling myself. So when you're going through that calming down stage, or getting to know which cell has what vibrations that's making you ill from whatever illness you're dealing with, it is about calming those cells down, transforming that vibration. Anyways, continuing on. Microtubules are found almost everywhere in living tissue. They are evident even within the sperm and egg of all species, and are possibly the carriers of inherited characteristics that are passed down from one generation to the next. They have the capacity of at least theoretically, to store an almost unlimited amount of information within the finite space. Since they are quantum in nature, like quantum computers, they can be on and off at the same time, and because they are holographic, they could contain all the information from the ancestries of both a person's mother and father's line. And the only reason you know that's true is because every single cell has your DNA in it. Your DNA is your coded information from all information of your past. and you are susceptible to certain behaviors, that's always on and off, and it is your free will to go down the wrong path or not. This cross-section of the tail of a human sperm shows the cytoskeleton of the tail is made of microtubes. A single sperm is shown on the right. It's a picture you probably won't be able to doesn't really mean too much to me. It's hard to see the diagram in black and white and blurry. In the diagram below and on the left, I've shown a cutoff of a single sperm tail. The small, darker circles are the microtubules, which form a rough circle that has two central microtubules. This cutoff picture comes from the sperm of a man shown on the right. Here is that picture, and you can read. You can freeze that and check it out if you want. The wall of each microtube is composed of 13 molecules called dimmer switches. This dimmer wall can be seen to grow like arms at various points along its surface. These arms are the microtubule-associated proteins, like fingers on a guitar string. Maps hold constant the frequency from holodynamics within the water that seems to help keep the information field stable. Water is more than you think it is. Water holds all information. It's the container information is in. Some of the most pertinent research on the role of microtubules has come from the study of valence patterns of the dimmer switches. These molecules that make up the surface of the microtubules grow in rows like kernels of corn on a cob. They are always 13 in number. Each dimmer molecule has two parts that are hinged together so they can open and close. They are two pillows sewn together at one end, and when the pillows are open, the valence of the dimmer is positive. When the molecule switches back, the pillows close and the valence changes to negative. When the pillows are in between, the valence is neutral. These three different positions, open, close, or in between, each with a different valence, create an information field surrounding the microtubule. Those who understand information fields, such as in a computer, will realize that any system that contains a positive, negative, and neutral valence can store and process information. This means that microtubules are capable of storing and processing information on their surfaces. Roger Penrose reinforced this idea when he discovered that the valence of the dimmer molecules formed into mathematical precise formulas along the surface of each microtubule. This discovery, along with Hemmerhoff, Horvath, and others, has led to a vast amount of information on microtubules and their role in human consciousness. Several national and international conferences over the past few years have been dedicated to further study of the subject, and the science of consciousness has been dedicated to the role of microtubules and its mechanisms. The surface of each microtubule is covered with these mathematical precise valence patterns. These patterns seem to be part of a gatekeeper function of the microtubule to hold the information within it in place. Like a holographic encrypted message processor, the microtubules function to code the messages as they pass through the wires, the neutral network, so to speak, and reach their intended destination. In other words, the valences are instrumental in supporting short-term and long-term memory within the microtubules. From a holodynamic view, there is also a great deal of real action taking place within the microtubules. It is within the microtubules that consciousness plays its most potent role. In order to better understand the dynamics within the microtubules, we must turn to the science of holographics. Holographics views the water medium as an information storage mechanism. It is within the water molecules that holodynamics form and stored. I'll continue on another tape.